So, I thought I would just talk for a few minutes, kind of, spontaneously, really. But I can probably say a few words, thinking about sequelae and stages of harm. And, some of us are really always fighting to stay alive. And, maybe that sort of started from the time we were born, and maybe some of us, me, I'm real big on looking at history and always trying to learn, so yeah, I'm not going to ask if my life matters, but yeah, everyone's life matters, and we've gotten sort of something's happened, but again, nuclear infrastructure. All right, so when I think about after I fled domestic violence where I could have been killed. And I am not sure that people dismiss that really understand the severity of it. And I'm sure that there are people that won't ever really be able to see it, or see it clearly enough. But yeah, so after fleeing domestic violence in my mid 20s, when did I become aware I was going to be harmed again? Or, was I aware? Or could I even have allowed myself to be aware? Because, you know, when you're taken to be slaughtered in one way or another, what level of awareness? I don't know. Maybe the more things we go through, the more we want to sort of be aware. I don't know. And age, I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But, I think about after I fled and trying to find support resources, trying to find battered women's groups and things like that. And really, there not being anything much, not too much, And yeah, so what did I do? Well, I tried to find something in Tennessee. There was nothing at that time that I could find. I don't know if you had to know someone to find something, but rape crisis, I didn't, probably could have gone there. I don't know, sometimes well, here's what I'm going to say as a big generality. Sometimes these entities that are there, that are supposed to help people, turn people away. And that didn't happen to me there. I don't know if I communicated with them or not then, but there was a counselor that I found, and it really, I don't know if it was helpful or not, because when you're in that sort of state of extreme trauma after you've fled for your life and been harmed badly, well, I mean, that was something, but it wasn't what I had access to where I lived when I was being abused. What I found to be a very helpful battered women's group that, I think might have saved my life. So from where I was there, I moved again, and well, there was rape crisis and there was a battered women's group, and I was out of battering at that point, but I chose not to go to that group because the woman that facilitated that group yelled at people, and she never yelled at me, but she yelled at people, and I think that's just not real appropriate when you're trying to support women that are being battered. And yeah, sometimes it's complicated, I suppose. There was a woman there that talked about beating up on her boyfriend, and one time I saw them out, and yeah, but yeah, so support resources, went to rape crisis for I think about a year, and I didn't find it to be very helpful, the suggestions that she gave and her not really being able to listen. Sometimes people don't know how to listen, and again, the trauma after is, it's so high. I think sometimes it takes survivors to really be there for people who have been victimized, but even sometimes as survivors, we don't, maybe, I mean, it takes more than one person, I think, a lot of times. All right, so I will say that from my experience supporting people, all right, so where their trauma is real high, and and I can do everything I can do, but it might to keep that person safe. All right, so when did I know that I was going to be harmed again? Well, I mean, I had a feeling about it just before it happened, but I think about, I guess maybe it was at a year and a half before, the person that came into the family and pushed into the family with insults from the start. And I should have known when he made insults that, yes, well, I was being harmed with insults, but I might have allowed myself to know, if I had known to know, that I was going to be harmed in connection with what was happening. So, yeah, and really, I guess people respond different ways to insults. There are times that someone does something that is just so shocking that it's like, I don't know. I mean, wow, retaliation could take decades. All right, so and what does retaliation look like? I don't know. Maybe it looks like tally marks on a wall. This is how much time I have been sentenced to because of the crimes you are committing. All right, so, I don't know, unarmed woman here, you know, really mostly what I have is a mouth. All right. And fingers that like to type and hands that like to write. And, yeah. And I'm a human and I like being with people. I do, but here I am over 7 years now of social isolation. I'm trying real hard to work my way out of it. But I was harmed, you know, I could say, well, it's coming up on 30 years of this real serious harm that was done to me. And I don't know if the closer I get to that 30 years, the more angry I could become. I don't really know what's going to happen. I do know that I have a huge amount of self control. So, yeah. If I did not, I probably wouldn't be alive. How about that? So, yeah. So, So when do you know, thinking about sequelae of harm, this is important. When you were insulted, how do you protect yourself? And how do you know what the harm is going to be? Well, if that is one person insulting you, don't ignore that. That person's already done harm to you. Okay. Even if that person didn't push you or hit you with something physical, that person did harm to you. That person caused a stress response in your body at the very least. All right. So a person could say that person assaulted you with words when that person insulted you, put you down. All right. So I think when someone does that, you really can only expect that quality of behavior from that person. So, and really, what is the final outcome of that? It can be death. All right. So, a person that comes in to, a place or to people and starts insulting and taking what that person wants and insulting more and taking what that person wants. Well, again, when did I become aware that I was going to be harmed? Well, was I being harmed then? I'm kind of laid back. I mean, I'm pretty intense, but I'm also kind of laid back. And I tend to just think, wow, that person ain't real bright. But again, too, there can be shocks sometimes. Wow. Wow. I mean, wow. Yeah. All right. So So, sequelae, notice when someone does you harm. Notice when someone insults you. Notice when things are creeping in on you. Sometimes I think it's really hard to because there are changes that happen and things like that. There's a whole lot that's kind of in flux and dynamic. So, you know, where's the ball going to roll? If that's a ball rolling, where is it going to roll and how do I step out of the way to avoid being harmed? All right, sequelae of harm. So, when did I know? Well, I had fled violence that could have killed me if I had not removed myself enough of a distance from that person that was he's extremely violent. Not everyone gets the privilege of seeing that, of experiencing it, but there are people that know. I mean, I just don't know. He's still out there doing his thing. All right, but as far as I know, and I mean, really, it pisses me off so much. People choose that over me as a friend. People choose that. People choose to pretend that away. And yeah, she don't matter. Oh yeah, she's dead. Oh yeah, she don't matter. She's trashy. She's got a mouth on her. She don't matter. Well, yeah, I fucking matter. And when people have that attitude, what do I try to do? I try to not care, but it's real hard, you know, being, this kind of person, being, this kind of person, I find it hard to not care when it comes down to it. And yeah, you I think my dad's heart in some ways, perhaps the heart of a medic, perhaps the heart of a person trained as a medic, and you respond and you're there. And did he do that well? He knew how to listen to people, and he knew how to help a person not feel crazy, things like that. So sequelae of harm, you know, I'm going to comment first on the importance of calm and the importance of, sometimes you have to have a practice of that, and it doesn't have to be something you've practiced for years, it's something you can start to do. And it might be 2 minutes of, you know, looking at a clock or at whatever you need to, looking at your hand, looking at, wherever you need to, closing your eyes and breathing and finding your calm and reminding yourself what you've been through and that you have survived so far and that you'll continue to survive. Even if sometimes, I mean, are you going to have to fight, and are you going to have to fight in ways that make you look ways you don't want to look? Well, sequelae of harm. Again, insults. About a year and a half before I was harmed very badly. And where I really knew was within a short number of days. I mean, was it a day? Was it 2 days? I don't remember the exact time frame. I just remember knowing, yeah, I know I'm going to be harmed. I know that person is going to harm me. That person is going to betray me. And yeah, so, but what could I have done in that in between time where this person came in with insults? And then at this point where I was harmed very badly, what could I have done? I mean, I think I did what I could. But this is something people should always be thinking about. How do I protect myself? I have been harmed. And yeah, I know there is the potential for more harm. How do I protect myself? And I'm not even, I mean, that could be on a lot of different levels, but there's so much going on right now. So yeah, sequelae of harm. Don't ignore it when you're insulted. And when someone is slowly killing you, and yeah, what do you do? The visualizations help. I don't know, again, I'm a little bit, I'm kind of this, and I can be kind of neutral sometimes, a little bit neutral, like, I don't want conflict. I don't want conflict. And yeah, I mean, but a person does have to protect their own life sometimes. And yeah, so just some thoughts. Don't ignore insults. Don't ignore when you've been harmed, when you're being harmed, and don't ignore feelings of concern about being harmed further. Don't ever ignore that. And what I want to say is try to make sure that in that in between time when I'm thinking about my own experience, or what could I have done? Well, I really think there's nothing else I could have done than what I did. But try to think about, here is some harm, even if this was only an insult. Things could get worse. What do I need to do in between here? You know, I am doing everything I can. Is there anything else I can do to protect myself? And yeah, protect yourself.